Okay, yeah, I got a little bit more charge. It was the charger. This phone, it charges when it wants to. Let me get right to the point because it might cut off again. Give y'all a little bit more news. On yesterday, we had an exciting time outside. I walked around the corner, very breezy. And that's not to the point. I actually wanted to talk to y'all about financial aid. FAFSA. FAFSA. It was a FAFSA, which is student loans, grants. Yesterday I went to the school my daughter goes. She attends, and just to inquire about going back to school because I wanted to do more on computers. Now you know I've been to school for business, music, culinary arts, what else? Insurance. And so I thought maybe I'll go this time for IT Tech. It's a 2-year training. And I really want to learn the ins and outs of computers, really for myself. There's 3 fields that will always be in demand, and that's computers, because everything is leaning toward computers. So no matter how they enhance the computers, since it was a excellent invention, whoever invented computers and technology is part of technology. They just brought technology out to us. They've always been using that in the back, and what they allowed us to tap into it. And so you're going to always be enhancing computers, or even the heart of a computer. That's what IT teaches you. I've lost so much money on computers. Instead of throwing that one away, I could have just built me another one, right? If I had IT experience. And so I inquired about IT, and I was able to go to the back, and I spoke with Mr. Oscar. What a salesman. So we sat down and we discussing going to school. Now, the way they have it, they have the composition, which they call English. Now, we had a little topic on English, and that's why they changed it to composition, because it's really not English, okay? And I was trying to explain that to him yesterday, is that you want to go and enhance your English, and it's really grammar. You really want to enhance your grammar. It's a different thing than composition. Composition actually, I guess, they don't form sentences, but I can't go into details. I just throw out words to you, teach you different guidelines about English. But the basic, what you really need to learn, is grammar, and it's not there. Then we discussed taking mostly, school courses. There's a word for it, and I can't think of the word he used yesterday. But you think taking more English and math first, and taking all that, you really don't get into IT into the second year. First year, you're just doing math and English, basic schoolwork, right? You go 1 class a month, and I'm laying on my back, so forgive me. But you go 1 class a month. You take that entire class, that entire course, the entire month, and then the next month you do your next, like maybe math, and then you do that for an entire year or so. Oh, that could be boring. But the main thing I wanted to talk about is we got to the financial aid part, right? And they no longer have books. And so they're using computers. And you pay $650 extra. Now, the entire amount to go to school is $33,000, right? He gave me the breakdown, which is good, because most of the time you go into business school, you don't get a breakdown of the amount. And this is actually a college. This is not a business school. Brown Mackie College. The tuition is $33,000, and then they say on top of the $33,000, a little bit over $33,000, you pay $650 for a little laptop, very nice looking laptop, $650. And he goes, when he was trying to sell the laptop, and I guess in most schools they push the laptop because it's free, right? And I asked him, I said, okay, you tell me that I'm gonna save all this money because books normally cost about $3,000 some, and we're gonna just give you this one laptop where you download all your books. And I said, okay, now tell me this then. Because financial aid grants you a certain amount of money. And I already kind of knew the answer because my daughter said, you just pay for the entire thing. Financial aid is a different entity than the school, right? Financial aid already gave you your limit per course. That's how much you qualify for. A lot of these schools nowadays are not giving you the amount, as I stated earlier, and then they're taking the entire financial aid. So I asked him, I said, you're saving me money by getting this laptop. You're saying this is how much I have left over. Do I get that money? Now, I already knew the answer to that. He goes, no, we don't give you that money, but we don't take nothing out we don't use. I said, what do you mean by that? Now, it sounds good, because we don't take it out if we don't use it. He said, well, what happens is financial aid asks us if, you only asking for this amount. Do you want the other amount? This is how much they qualify for. He said, we tell them no. He said, because it don't make no sense. And that's what he said, just like this. It don't make no sense for you to get money if you ain't using it for your school. Well, that's not for him to say, right? You done gave this man the entire power, and most colleges don't do that. They give you what financial aid grants you. That's what you qualify for. A lot of students have student living, and a lot of times you say, well, you can't use that, but that is part of going to school, your education. You're trying to help. You're not trying to get no car, no house, because some of y'all try to get cars and stuff like that. But you never know when you may need extra money, and you can't go back to them and get it. And then the loan really don't have anything to do with him because the bank granting you a loan. That's right. Banks don't always grant you loans, but they're granting you a loan with the understanding that you're going to pay it back because we're going to take it out your income tax. But he has control of all of this money, right? And he goes, well, we don't touch it. I said, well, now second question you got to look into is the school marketable? I mean, is it fair? Now, it may be marketable, but is it fair? Because a lot of times, as I explained to him, business schools cost more than regular college, but when you go out in the workforce going to look more at a regular college than at a business school. Amen. They know you got a little degree. They're going to look at it and say, okay, where did you get it from? Because you can have a piece of paper. You've been to the classes, but you learn anything. They hip to some of these business courses. They cut edges. They shortcuts. And they want the best at their companies. So if you're in a well-known college, and financial aid is financial aid. If you can get into a business school, then you can get into a college with the same financial aid. They granted you that amount of money. So I asked the man yesterday, I said, okay, you said that you declined the amount that financial aid grants you. He went to explain. Well, a lot of times these kids don't have enough money for the end of the school year, so we're trying to help them. After I asked him, about him trying to govern them out, he said, you run out by the end. You don't run out because they break it down. They already know how much they're going to grant you for the entire year, for that season. They break it down that this is how much you qualify, this is why, and I've never seen it run out. It only runs out if you misuse it. That means if you don't go to all your classes and you just go on every year just to get money, then they can tell by what you're doing, But nevertheless, my whole question of this is, and I'm trying to get back into focus like I was this morning. Laying on my back, I guess, kind of got me tired, but is that a form of embezzlement? When you adjust your school prices according to the financial aid, is that fair? Is that justice? I mean, come on, because we're talking about government money. We're talking about a budget. Yes, there's a budget for government money in that department in schools. We're talking about the quality of education, and these kids sometimes they need a little, excitement. That means give them a reason to stay in school, financial aid. So I guess he kind of got upset, and he started saying, okay. He kept saying, yeah, you're going loan, this and that and the other. Yeah, they got a lot of grandiose stars that get grants. If it's out there, it's out there. We're not all rich. A lot of us do community service work, but I'm talking about financial aid. I'm talking about something that has absolutely nothing to do with him. All he has to do is do what Brian Mackey or whatever they call, just do what they're telling him to do. Don't try to get into the financial aid part because it's not for them to govern the financial aid. And how you going to give them power like they're their mamas? Give them power over them people's money. You cannot do that. You cannot give a school power. Those are their benefits. You just cut their benefits. They qualify for that. Whatever they want to do is between them and the system. You said I'm trying to help the system, but it's not keeping your prices down. If you're trying to help the system, then give the government a discount. Amen. Don't tell me $33,000 is how much you're going to pay. That's a whole lot of money. And is that quality education? Now, Brown Mackey has been in business for years, according to their little package, but they only been here in San Antonio for 3 years. And he said, well, I've been working here for 3 years. And when I went to ask him about English, now listen to me, because he doesn't speak very good English. He's Mexican. And he didn't hear what I was saying. A lot of times Mexicans complain about what they don't get, and yet they're in position. But I'll tell you something I learned, a Mexican told me this. When it comes to education, when it comes to the business world, corporate America is looking at English. You may think corporate America is needing bilinguals. No. corporate American is looking at English, and even if you are bilingual, you still have to speak fluent English. Exactly. Now you can get in at these little jobs around the fast food restaurant, little insurance agent, stuff like that. But when you talk about major jobs, Fortune 500 companies, they do look at English. They look at a lot of stuff. Some of us just got by our own prayer, and I understood that. I'm sitting here trying to talk to him about what I want in my English class. You don't have anything that can help me. I mean, I'm getting out of college, and I'm still speaking the same English because I missed it back in high school. And I told him my situation on how I missed it. Oh, shoot, I went over my 10 minutes. How I missed it back in high school. Right? I hope they let me still lift it up. Facebook normally don't. Let me try to lift it up like this.